so excited to get to talk to you because I'm just so curious to hear, like, first about your journey, Peyton's story, and your family, and then also just like kind of how you all have gotten involved with the advocacy.
Yes. So, I'm gonna have to focus here. I like to say that I'm a multitasker, but I think it's only in certain circumstances that I am, and it's usually when I have all of my kids with me. But Peyton is at her school right now,
Mhm.
and my other big kids are at school. So anyhow, um, okay. So Peyton, I mean, she was she she was born. She wanted to stay inside my belly. I'm going to tell you that much. She was supposed to be born like I don't know. She stayed in an extra almost 2.5, 3 weeks because she just loved it in there. And I was suffering with the pubis separation syndrome where it felt like my bones in my pelvic area were cracking and breaking every time I walked. So they had me on bed rest towards the end because I couldn't move. It was so painful. And they ended up having to do a C-section. And when they pulled her out, she was stuck in my bones, like stuck in that whole cradle there. And she was all bruised and everything was awful. But they're like, no wonder you feel like your bones were cracking. You have this 9 pound, 1 ounce baby come out of you. And she was just stuck. But she was healthy and perfect and everything was going right and everything was just so wonderful. And then around like 2.5, 3, we started noticing some changes in terms of like her speech and really those standardized developmental milestones. And again, having worked in the healthcare field and pediatrics being part of that, I was starting to become really concerned. And I was working full time. My husband was working full time. My mom and my mother-in-law were still living. So they were helping a lot with babysitting. And then they got to a point where they couldn't for a little bit and they needed to split the time. And so we ended up putting her in a preschool. And the preschool teacher was actually the teacher that taught my oldest daughter and was we're very connected and she kind of shared some feedback kind of like hey, I wanted to talk to you about something. And she was talking about how she's been doing this for over 35 years and how in no way is this to offend or to hurt but more to inform like the things that she's observing, more like the autistic behaviors, the aggression, and then her not being able to verbalize certain things and not being able to use the potty and having that kind of oppositional defiance thing going on. And she's like, it's your choice. You're the mom, but I think it might be helpful to maybe have her see somebody and just maybe get some answers because this behavior is continuing. And if there's something that I can do as the preschool teacher to intervene and to support, I want to be able to do that, but I don't want to do it without the best recommendations. And so we ended up getting her screened and they like within seconds were like, oh, she's got autism, like 100%. She's on the spectrum. Here we go. So the idea was to start looking at the resources, the therapies, those kinds of things to maximize her strengths and really kind of get her to where she needs to be. And then things just started to get like worse. It felt like the system was so complex and complicated. I felt very much alone. I didn't reach out or ask for help for anything. I really kind of relied on these agencies to kind of help me better understand what I needed to do. We did ABA, PT, OT, ST, like all of the different therapies, music, all of those things. And she kept getting sick. Like the kids with the Sanfilippo, they always have respiratory stuff going on. She just kept getting sick and sick and sick. And I felt like with the speech therapy, they were like, she's regressing versus going forward. She's not using the words right, or she's not saying this, or she's scripting, or there's she's just echoing what we're saying, all those things. And the behavior started getting really bad where, she could do some damage. And it was starting to become an issue with some of the therapists where they're like, well, we may have to find her a different therapist because the hitting and all this stuff. And when you're a parent who has no idea what's going on and is not the expert on this information, it starts to feel like nobody wants to take care of her. No one wants to support her. And I was starting to get in a really bad headspace, and was saying, like, I don't know what to do. And I feel like nobody else is listening or hearing me. And I feel like I'm fighting for her, and I'm screaming really loud and no one's hearing me. And the pediatrician decided maybe it was a good time for us to connect with like a pediatric psych nurse practitioner, maybe look at some potential medication intervention because of this being like a chemical thing. And the the psych NP we found wasn't a network, but I needed to get her in as soon as possible. And so we met with her, and she is like our family now. We do out of pocket pay for her. She is on our budget in terms of when we see her. She's the reason why we got genetic testing. So she has a kiddo who has Down syndrome, and then another kiddo who has autism, pretty severe. And so she knows all the things from like the physiological, I mean, the appearance, everything. And she had recommended one day after Payton was diagnosed with the ADHD as well and the behavioral aggression, she said, why don't we look at some genetic testing? She goes, there's always an underlying thing to autism, whether it's ADHD or oppositional defiance disorder, whatever it may be, sensory thing. There could be a genetic thing going on here. And she said that she noticed that she has a larger head, obviously that's part of it, but another one was like it's almost like she doesn't have a neck, like you can't see it. And the way that she moves her body is very tight and stiff, and things that maybe I thought were just her being a kid and whatever. And she's like, let's do that. So she ordered us to go see a geneticist. We saw the geneticist, did the whole buccal swabs, did the urine, all that kind of stuff. And they're like, it'll take about 8 to 10 weeks to get the results back. And it was like maybe 4 weeks in. And they were like, we need you to come into the office. And I was like, I know what this means. So my husband and I and Payton go, and the geneticist, she's not an expert in MPS, but she has been working with children genetics for many, many years. And she like literally couldn't even say it. Yeah. She was like, I've never seen a geneticist cry. I've never seen like someone who's in a field where you have to be so stoic. I don't know if she had some kind of connection, or maybe this was the first time she's ever had to diagnose someone with this, but she shared the information and was like, she's like, for whatever reason, like, I can't like even say what this is, because I did the reading and the clinical research on it before you guys came in. And anyways, long story short, she gave us the diagnosis and everything changed after that. And, right now we have the best village in terms of providers, caregivers. We did just lose our respite provider. She had some major burnout happen because she's actually also a special needs teacher Monday through Friday. So, yeah, on the weekends, she was coming in and caring for Payton while my husband and I would try to figure out things to do and get things done together. Because obviously, and I'm sure you know this, we have to divide and conquer a lot, which means a lot of times we're not doing things together ever. So she did great, and then she had an honest conversation about how it was really starting to get to her, and it's impacting her during the week. And so we're actively looking for a new one, and it's amazing. I know you liked you're so supportive of my page, and the one about, you kind of see the people that are like supposed to be family, supposed to be friends, that are like, anything you need, anything at any time. And like, it doesn't matter if it's blood, it doesn't matter if it's a stranger, like, you really learn about people more than you ever thought. You see true colors. we're kind of struggling with that a little bit, but my big kids are huge advocates for Payton and are like, Mom, Dad, like, let us help you. Like, we're a family. We can do this. Don't think we don't want to. Like, they're teenagers, 14 and 17. Okay. But and they have their time and their space, but they're like, please, you guys need to go out somewhere. Go, get out of this house and just let us take care of her. And, they know the medicines that, we've taught them very well on our measurements and that kind of thing and how to change and all that stuff. And so they really have just come through. And it's so overwhelming because I have the guilt of like, I don't want this to be their burden. I don't want this to be something that stops them from doing the things that they want to do that give them joy. And they were like offended that I even thought that. Like, they're like, this is our sister. We don't have a lot of time with her. Why are we not going to take advantage of it? So that's kind of where we're at right now. Payton annually has a couple of hospital days where they put her under for like 5 to 8 hours, where they do all of the like tests and procedures and everything because she won't do them awake. And so she had those recently. We got all the results and saw the doctor. And, um, there's a lot of degeneration happening in the brain. And the biggest thing right now is her walking and her gait and the neuropathy. She's in so much pain all the time. Um, she screams and kicks, and it's just everything that she's feeling inside manifests into negative behavior and aggressive behavior. And so we had to put her on gabapentin to help with the neuropathy. And that actually has been helping, which is so nice. But it's like being a parent of a child with Sanfilippo, you're watching your child suffer, and there's really not a lot that you can do besides medication intervention and then obviously that physical support and just trying to give her the best life. And so every day is joy and grief. They coexist. And when Peyton was first diagnosed, I wanted nothing to do with advocacy. I wanted nothing to do with meeting other families. I wanted nothing to do with hearing other stories because I couldn't find value in anything that had to do with anything. Everything I feel like shut down. I felt isolated. I instantly felt alone. And all I wanted to do was hold Peyton all day, all night, and just never let her go. I was like, I can literally live the rest of my life just holding her, and I don't want to do anything else. That's it. And I come from a background of healthcare. I come from a background of knowing all of those things, being around patients, having the understanding of what this looks like from an outsider's perspective. But when you're the parent of the child that gets the diagnosis, how that changes, right? How everything that you thought you knew, everything that you thought was right and true just goes out the toilet. And to be honest, like in hindsight, I was surprised that I reacted in the way that I did. I thought I was strong. I thought I was, courageous and brave and could handle this kind of information, but I just couldn't. And so they gave all these pamphlets for like MPS Society, Cure Sanfilippo Foundation, Rare Diseases, NORD, ARC, like all these different places. And I really was like, I want nothing to do with any of this.
I felt the same way. I
Did you
think,
really? You?
yes. Oh, yes. Yes. When we got his diagnosis, I like didn't really even want to talk to anyone about it because I almost felt like stigmatizing. I felt shame or I felt
Yep.
something about it like syndrome. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like the word syndrome felt like, okay, this is not just a heart problem because for him, that's the biggest manifestation of what was going on. But to have this diagnosis where it was a syndrome, I almost felt like, well, I can't, like this changes everything. Like I don't even know how we would bring this up to our families and like what to say. But we didn't get involved into advocacy until the FDA denial. I was kind of like, and I think kind of similar to what you were saying, there is a lot of grief and there's a lot that have to be in like kind of the right space to be able to like process. So like I was like, I don't want anything to do with the Barson Foundation because I don't want to know what the future looks like for Gilbert.
Yep, that's
You
exactly
know,
right.
I was like,
Hmm.
I don't want to see that. I don't want
Yep.
to see how old kids were when they died. I don't want to see what it looks like. I just want to hold my baby,
Yep.
And so it took us until the FDA denial to really be like, we need to get involved.
It wasn't until really maybe in this last year and a half that I decided to get off of that the pity train, the victim train, and decided to um, take a different approach. And I think a lot of that had to do with the support of Cure Sanfilippo Foundation and the MPS Society. So the MPS Society, because Sanfilippo is a type of mucopolysarcoidosis, um, the MPS Society played a huge role in kind of opening me up to finding the right providers, making sure we get the healthcare in the right spot, that very, very specialized care for children with these lysosomal storage disorders. They have a program called the Pathways Program that really kind of welcomes you and gives you the path that gets you on the right path for your kiddo. And that really kind of opened me up to the idea of like, okay, this can this can have some organization to it. This can have some what's the word? Structure because I'm kind of a control freak. I mean, I guess what mom isn't, right? I want everything to be controlled and scheduled. I want to know what's happening and what's not. But um there was I just felt a little more safe for Payton at that point, and they really helped open those doors. And when I met with um, the O'Neills with the Cure Sanfilippo Foundation, um, them being actual parents living with a child who has the same diagnosis as Payton was probably the like cherry on top. I was like, you guys have created a foundation that is changing lives of these families and you're living this every day. And in a lot of ways that was the inspiration, was seeing the advocacy and the work that they're doing on top of being parents who are living with grief every single day. And it really kind of just exploded from there. I had been on and off social media like in my early 20s and stuff like that, and had decided it wasn't for me. And just within the last few months, I joined Instagram and inspired by the Giving Tuesday, and Cure Sanfilippo was really the ones that organized everything.
You guys, like as a community, seems to really like have a pretty clear like this is what like everything's just very coordinated in terms of like how you all advocate and the stuff that like you post.
They have a great team of folks that help with like the social media presence and help with some of the scripting and the images. Like they literally give you a package of like, hey, these are some things you can use while you're working on this and all of that kind of stuff. And so it was really helpful to kind of pull from that, but then also add my own creative twist, like, my punk rock music and all that kind of stuff that I had. Which we both love. So anyhow, that's really kind of where I'm at right now. And I think from like a mental health standpoint, I've struggled with depression and, PTSD and those kinds of things. And I'm in a better space because I think the confidence and really the inspiration of all these other families, all these other moms and dads and caregivers has really gotten me to stop sitting back and kind of being the victim of something I can't control, and really more looking at what is it that I can do from where I'm at? What platform can I use to bring that awareness to the people that I care about and to those that have no idea? I mean, the whole idea, the fact that Sanfilippo is rare, a lot of people don't know about it. So, like, you can look at Payton and maybe not assume anything's wrong with her unless she, starts to verbalize something or stim or become aggressive or those kinds of things, or if you like look really close. So I think it's important that people know what's going on. And one of the things I guess I've learned through this journey is I love talking about Payton. I like when people ask me questions and ask about the disease and what it means and what's happening and where Payton is at. And I think that, and another thing that I've learned is that a lot of people shy away from asking because, they don't want to offend you. They don't want to dive into it, or maybe they don't have the capacity to understand, or maybe they just don't want to. But I'm seeing a lot of that. And the more moms and dads that I become friends with and caregivers that I become friends with on Instagram, the more inspired I am to just keep spreading the good news and the bad news and all of the news, just to keep everybody like, hey, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. Um, so, I mean, from an advocacy standpoint, that's where I'm at. And I love these families that have decided to create like clothing lines and merchandise and all of this stuff related to autism, Sanfilippo, rare diseases, everything you can possibly think of. And I love being able to support those measures as well, because I think that any way we can help is the best way, so is really what we can do. And again, it comes back to what is it that I can do versus what I can't do to save my daughter. Because it's like you never know if there's some random celebrity who decides, oh my gosh, our saw video was inspired by something and does something. What if we got $1 million donated to cure Sanfilippo or something like that? I mean, those kinds of things happen all the time. And so I just feel like maybe I'm never going to give up, because the money obviously is what's going to help fund these trials, this research for every rare disease out there. And we're kind of lacking in it right now as families. And, from the top down, what's happening at the, federal level, I mean, it's hard for everyone right now. So anyhow, but yeah, so that's from an advocacy standpoint, that's kind of like where I'm at. We're in a good space, and my two big kids are super excited about all of this, super excited that we're spreading the word, and they love being involved, and they are the most incredible siblings. We do a good job of ensuring that everybody has their time to shine and everybody is given the love and comfort and support that they need, because having other kids that are not impacted or don't have the disease, it's hard for them too. There's so many emotions and so many things involved, that as a parent of these kids, it's, while it's not easy and it's challenging and there's a lot of guilt when you're not giving your best, I'm intentional as much as I can be, to make sure that each child gets what they need and what they deserve. And that's, it's everything. And they feel that, and they have so much gratitude. And I can attribute that to the Courageous Parents Network. That's another big network that has really kind of helped me with different point of views and perspectives, and has kind of taught me how to do better in regards to supporting all of my kids and advocating for all of them in different ways. So that's why I'm a big, like, I post about them all the time because they are just incredible. Um, the FDA issue with them not approving this freaking medication, and all these things that could potentially elongate her life or give her a better quality of life so that she's not suffering every day. I'm angry. I'm angry all the time about it. And I just, like, I don't know if anyone would ever be able to understand unless they have a child that has a rare disease. Like, you can lose them any day. I mean, they can get sick with freaking a cold, and it can turn into pneumonia, and they could die. Like, because there's everything that's going on with them, And the idea of that anxiety, that constant fear, waking up, going to sleep, knowing that is definitely something that is plausible that could actually happen is terrifying. And I feel like I'm in fight or flight all the time. I am, we live in fear.
I was saying this to my husband the other day. It feels like there is this river, there's this current of anxiety, this like low frequency buzzing that always exists for me. And it doesn't
Yes.
matter. Like you can have, like you're saying, you can have good days, you can have days, you try to like be present and whatever, but then there's always this feeling of like existential dread. And that makes sense
Yes.
why we would feel that way because our kids'
Oh,
lives are in danger all the time, you know? So having a rare disease child and having a diagnosis is so complicated.
yeah.
And when you talk about like family and people who understand and people who get it and seeing true colors, that's so true too.
The only thing that we can do is take care of ourselves, take care of her, and give her the best life that we can and keep fighting. And so when I met you on Instagram, I mean, Sadie's story, the foundations, and then all of these other rare disease moms out there that are basically begging for support, like it uplifts me because I don't feel alone. I feel loved, I feel supported, I feel seen, I feel valued. I feel like my anger is valid. It's like I am angry. I'm angry at the government. I'm angry at our president. I'm angry at our state. I'm angry at the people that are making the decisions that don't directly impact them.
I feel angry too about like, I don't know what it's going to take for the world to understand like
Yeah.
what it is like to live like this. And if people really did understand, I think we would have funding for everything, right?
Oh
And we
my
would
God.
have things expedited, right? Like I just don't believe that if you know, RFK had a child with Sanfilippo syndrome, that this gene therapy wouldn't have already been approved. Like
Yep.
it's just that, and it's I'm like,
It's
it's
because
just
like
unconscionable.
they exactly. And it just seems like I don't care what religion you are, what you believe in spiritually. Like this is just like nor like morally, I just feel like it's like morally wrong to like ignore this.
The one place that I do like find comfort is in the like incredible amount of like people advocating
Yep.
for just I think being part of the community. Like, oh, okay, other people are also experiencing these same things that I am and um like we can do stuff together, like I don't have to
Yes.
suffer alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was telling my husband about this. I was like, I can't believe how many incredible mommies are out there. Like, and he's a huge feminist, my husband, and he is just like, I'm never, ever, ever going to be able to explain to you how incredibly precious it is to be able to see a mother and a child and a mother fighting for her child and advocating for her child. And it does look different with dads and to a certain degree. He's like, but to see this and to see how you guys all come together, it's genuinely the sisterhood. It is a sisterhood of moms because guess what? We are not the moms that are sitting there judging each other's home decor or that you're not wearing makeup or that your hair or that you're losing your hair or that your nails aren't done. We are the moms that are looking at each other in the face, looking at each other's souls and hearts and being like, I am with you 100%. Our kids may not be the same person, may not even have the same rare disease, but I see you. And guess what? You're fabulous. You're beautiful. And all of the things that women are so insecure about, or, like I would never in the past get on a freaking Zoom call without makeup on or without like a nice outfit on. And I'm over here like, these are my sisters. These are the women that don't give a poopy about that really irrelevant stuff that doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, no one's ever doing any nails or hair because we're busy. Everything you just said just hits so close to home. And also it's like you're speaking to the experience of so many rare disease families. And like there's just so much in there. Zoom's trying to try and kick us off. Do you want me